A Symphony of Whales. The genre is fiction. It's a story that cannot be real, an imaginary story. From the earliest time she could remember, Glashka had heard music inside her head. During the long, dark winters, blizzards sometimes lasted for days. Then her family stayed indoors, close to the small fire. Glashka heard the songs calling to her out of the darkness, beyond even the voice of the wind. The old ones of her village said, "That is the voice of Narna, the whale. Long has she been a friend to our people." She was a friend of our grandparents' grandparents. She was a friend before we saw the boats of strange men from other lands. But it is long now since one of us has heard her. It is a great gift you have. And Glashka would fall asleep, wrapped in her seal's skin blanket, remembering their words. The sea gave life to Glashka's village. The seals gave meat and warm furs to protect against the winter cold. In summer, the people caught salmon and other fish, then salted them to keep for the hard times to come. And from Narna the whale, the people received food for themselves and their sled dogs, waterproof skins for their parkas, it means heavy jackets, and boots, and oil for their lamps in the long winter darkness. One year the snows came early. For 3 days a blizzard bore down on the village. It means the blizzard harmed the village. When it finally stopped, Glashka's family needed supplies from the next village. Glashka asked if she might help drive the sled dogs. "It is not so easy to drive the sled," her parents said. "The dogs will know if you are uncertain of the way, but you will know the way home. Perhaps on the way back you may try. Now go to sleep." That night in her dreams, Glashka drove the dog's sled. But the dogs did not follow her commands. Instead, they led her to open water surrounded by ice. Glashka heard the singing of Narna, louder than she had ever heard it before. She awoke in the darkness of her seal's skins, wondering what the dream had meant. The morning was clear and cold as the family set out. The dogs made good time to the neighboring village before starting back. Glashka's parents packed the supplies into the sled. Glashka checked the dogs' feet for cuts. She rubbed their ears and necks. Glashka's parents gave her the reins. Reins, it means the dogs, what's attached to the dogs so the dogs can drag the sled. The straps which are attached to the dogs. "We'll follow behind you if your heart and words are clear. The dogs will listen and take you where you wish to go." They set off across the ice. Snow swirled as the wind began to pick up. It means the snow is moved by the wind. Suddenly, the sled dogs broke from the trail, yelping and twitching their ears. Yelping and twitching, it means they were crying, and there was an intentional movement of their ears. "What is it?" Glashka's parents shouted. "I think they hear something." This is Glashka. The sled dogs pulled harder. They were stopping very hardly. Their keen ears could pick up high-pitched notes that most humans couldn't hear. But Glashka, if she turned just right, could make out the eerie moans. It means if she was looking, if she's going only to turn right back, she's going to listen to the strange crying and whistling, which grew louder and louder until even her parents could hear them. Eerie moans, it means strange crying, and the whistling of the whales. The crying, it was from the dogs. The crying, the strange ones, the strange voices that came loud and louder. The dogs stopped short. They were right at the edge of the great bay of open water, surrounded on all sides by ice and snow. Everywhere Glashka looked, the water seemed to be heaving. It means everywhere she was looking, water are being filled with and being like a boiling water, filled of whales, white whales, choked with white whales. Her father came up beside her. "Beluga whales," he said softly. Glashka stared. It means she was looking very longly at the sea. She said, "There must be more than 1,000 of them." The cries of the whales rose and fell on the wind as they swam slowly about. So the calling and the sad voices, the loud voices of the whales were rising up. The dogs whined and pawed anxiously at the ice. It means the dogs also were causing a very high, sad voices. "Let's hurry to the village," cried Glashka. "We'll get help." In this page, it's explaining for you that Glashka is an only child. She doesn't have sisters or brothers. She is very attached to her mother and father. They are living in a place that we can describe it as cold and snowy. So blizzards every time and then were lasting days and days in that place. And Narna, she's the only one after a long time she's the only one starting to hear the voice of Narna. Narna is a whale that the people of this village were hearing the voice of Narna before, but now they stopped hearing the whale. The only one started to hear the whale back is Glashka. Her grandparents told Glashka that this is a great gift you have, that you can hear the voice of Narna. In this paragraph particularly, it's telling you and describing you the benefits of the sea for Glashka's village. It's giving them salmon, fish, giving them also waterproof skins, parkas, boots, oil to fill their lamps so they can lighten up the lamps and enjoy the light in the darkness. And also the animals that living in that sea, also providing them with warm furs and meat. Here in this paragraph, it's describing an incident happened 1 year ago. 1 year ago, the snows came early. When it finally stopped, Glashka's family needed supplies from another village. Glashka asked if she can help and if she can drive the sled dogs. What her parents told her that if you weren't certain of the way, the dogs will know that you are not certain of the way. And so they promised her that she's going to drive the sled dog at the way back. In this paragraph, in page 148, it's describing for you the dream she had. She's always having, and she's scared by having it, because she doesn't know what the dream had meant. That night, in her dreams, Glashka drove the dog's sled, but the dogs did not follow her commands. This is what she was afraid of, that the dogs won't follow her orders, and they're going to lead her, they're going to take her to an open water surrounded by ice. She's going to be trapped by all the way around her. All the things around her would be ice. So she's going to be trapped, and she's going to see whales in front of her, and she's going to hear the singing of Narna louder and louder. So next, in this page also, it's telling you that the next day came, and it's describing for you the morning. It's telling you that it was clear and cold, and Glashka's parents, they packed their supplies on the sled, and they were going out. Glashka, she was checking the dogs' feet if they got injured, and she was rubbing their ears lovingly. Glashka's parents gave her the straps attached to the dogs. Why? So she can drive them. They told her, "We'll follow behind you. If your heart and words are clear, the dogs will listen and take you wherever you wish to go." So Glashka now, she is driving the sled. Across the ice, the snow were moving by the wind. So much snow are growing up on each other. Suddenly, the sled dogs broke off the trail. It went away of the trail, and the dogs were calling loudly, and their ears were moving unintentionally. So Glashka's parents told Glashka, "What is there?" So Glashka, she answered, "I think they heard something." So the dogs are hearing the Narna, the whale. The dogs are catching up the voices of the whales, but we, us humans, we cannot, because they can hear the high-pitched notes. Unlike us, we cannot hear high-pitched notes. So the dogs were making strange and crying and whistling from the dogs' boat and the whales. The dogs stopped short. They were right at the edge of the bay. Everywhere Glashka looked, water were being filled of, and the water was also filled of white whales. The white whales here in this place are called, it's a type of whales, it's called beluga whales. So the water was filled of whales. The whales were crying in a very sad voice. The cries of the whales rose and fell on the wind as they swam slowly. The dogs also were whining and pawing. Whined and pawed, it means it caused very loud voice. The dogs also were crying loudly and strangely, very nervously. So what Glashka said, "Let's hurry to the village," cried Glashka. "We'll get help." In these slides, my students, you will know more about the vocabulary for each page. These vocabulary are only for understanding, not memorizing by heart. Page 147, bore down a village, it means affected it in a harmful way. Parka, it means a large jacket with a hood. Page 148, commands, it means orders. Led, it means the past tense of lead, it means to guide. Reins, it means the straps that are attached to an animal so we can hold it and guide it. In page 149, swirled, the snow swirled, it means the snow swirled, the snow moved in a twisting way caused by the wind. Yelping, it means screaming. Twitching, it means having an intentional movement. Like when we said twitching of the ears, it means the ears were having a movement. The ears are moving unintentionally. Eerie, strange. Moans, long, low sounds expressing sadness, like the moans of the dogs or whales. Heaving, it means full of. The water were heaving, full of. Choked, it means filled, like choked with whales, filled with whales. Whined and pawed, the dogs were whining and pawing, it means cried loudly. Thank you, my beloved students. I hope you enjoyed the explanation, and your homework to do today is to practice reading pages 148 plus 149. Thank you.